Welcome to the Yerba Power Podcast, where we share the power of yerba mate with the world. Introducing your host, Devin.
Welcome to the Yerba Power Podcast. I am your host, Devin, where we share the power of yerba mate with the world. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I apologize for being gone for a long time. I realize that my inconsistency is not helpful to you guys or myself. And while, no need for me to really explain why, I haven't recorded an episode in a while, but just know that it wasn't just because, I don't care about this podcast or care about you guys or relaying helpful information. It was just that I spent some time for myself and my family, and, well, I'm back. So, without further going on and on, today's episode is for everyone. From the curious beginner to the full-blown matero. We're talking about the journey of drinking yerba mate, from your very first sip to expert-level rituals and brewing techniques. Let's dive in. So maybe you've seen people sipping out of a metal straw and a hollowed out cup, and you're thinking, what is that green stuff? That's yerba mate, an herbal infusion from South America, packed with caffeine, theobromine, and antioxidants. So if you're new to yerba, here's what you need to know. For someone that just Googled yerba mate or just found this podcast, let's start with the baby steps. So I'm going to walk you through someone that just found out about yerba mate. You're just hearing this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time, or you're looking to up your game, or you're somewhere in between. So I'm going to try to walk you through the steps of very first person drinking yerba mate up to how or what you can do differently. Here's some suggestions on getting started and then working your way up through the ranks. So, although most yerba mate drinkers that have been drinking for a while hate this idea, this is where I'm going to start. Because, how the different experience is doing this way, but my goal here is to get you to enjoy yerba mate and for the long term. And I know that if you start to enjoy it and feel the benefits, you'll want to learn more. So that first method would be just cans. Yerba mate in cans. There's different brands out there, and as a fellow American, speaking directly to my fellow Americans, I know that you'll find this a lot easier option here in the States and remove the resistance of starting. And also, it's just easier for you to get your hands on. So a couple brands worth mentioning here. Clean Cause, I like, because they have a cause behind their yerba drinks. They are sponsoring sobriety, which I'm on board with that. Is now 2 years and 9 months down that road. They make different carbonated and I believe uncarbonated drinks. So they have different flavors. You can check them out. Clean Cause. I'm partial to mint flavors, lemon flavors, orange, things like that. But each of you have your own different flavors that you like. So I'd just say check out Clean Cause is one. Mateina is another one. They have partnered with Dr. Andrew Huberman, who I've done something about him on this podcast as well. But he's a big neuroscientist. His father was Argentine. He drinks a lot of yerba mate. So he's an investor with them, Mateina. So they've kind of taken over a lot recently. They have a zero sugar version of their yerba mate can drinks with different flavors that I can recommend. I've also had our good friends Icaro on this podcast as well. And their version of yerba can drinks are brewed with actual yerba mate and not yerba mate extract. They also have a great mint flavor that I can recommend. That's Icaro, Icaro. You can find them online in the U.S. They're, I think, located in Baltimore, Maryland as well, if you're up there. I've seen other flavors, even in convenience stores, even Costco, but my suggestion here would be to be aware of the sugar content. So just read the label on whatever brand that you find. And other preferences include whether you like carbonation or not. So they have the kind of sparkling carbonated brand or flavor, or let's see, what's the word I'm looking for here? Variation, I guess. So it's if you like carbonation, the sparkling kind, or if you wanted more of a flat, in other words, like just tea, you can get the non-carbonated. So those are two options there. And then whether you want a traditional flavor or something more fruit flavored. Now, the next step up from the cans is what I would consider the beginner matero, because just kind of getting your baby steps in would be the cans. But then you want to move on up to a little bit more commitment, and you're shifting from just getting the energy fix to enjoying the ritual and hopefully experiencing some clarity. So the first sip of starting your yerba journey for beginners is I would say there's different even levels in this. So you don't need a gourd right away. You could start with a French press or even easier tea bag. So I'd recommend starting at the tea bag level before moving up to the French press if you're really new to yerba mate. First, because it's more controlled and less investment, and if you're still figuring it out, it's without you getting overwhelmed. And what you can do is you can go to pampadirect.com, so Pampa, Pampa, direct.com. I'm saying it differently because, the word pampa is from the plains of Argentina, so pronounce it in Spanish versus English, right? So pampadirect.com, and you can buy mate cocido, is what it's called. So this is the yerba mate in the tea bags. And basically what they do is just, put yerba mate in a tea bag, so that way it's an individual serving. It's just, easier way of having yerba mate and very cost effective. And you can buy a box of like 25 bags for pretty cheap. I have like a box of like 50 or whatever that I've had for like probably the last 3 months or so. And if you want to use my promo code, you can get a discount. I'll put that in the show notes where you can click the link or apply it right away, where you can just type Power Mate in the coupon code when you're checking out. I'm a fan of Suave Union. So they also make yerba mate, a brand company from Tarragui, but their mate cocido I recently bought myself from Papa Direct, and I like their brand. There's tons of different brands out there. You can try for yourself and let me know which you like. And before we move on to the French press level of preparation, I'd like to mention a brand that my buddy Jeff and I have been working on that fits around this level. It's called North Star Yerba Mate. It's an instant yerba mate that you can add to your water bottle or mug, whether you want it hot or cold water, and you get the added benefit of electrolytes mixed in, because the electrolytes are essential to your body for hydration, and we've used this to give the yerba a more palatable taste, as we use organic yerba with no added sugars to try to keep it as natural as possible. And we designed it to be a lifestyle that you can just take with you on the go wherever life takes you. No need to be an expert in yerba, and you can still enjoy the health benefits. So check out more about the product on North Star Yerba Mate on Instagram, or a previous episode I released talking about the company. So now, moving into the French press level is where it starts to level up your matero status, past a true beginner in my mind, because you have to be aware of the amount of yerba, brewing time, and the temperature of your water. And the water temperature is the first crucial point. I'd personally recommend no more than 160 degrees Fahrenheit. However, I drink around 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's just personal preference, because I don't want it too hot where it's burning my mouth, you can't enjoy. It's not literally burning my mouth, but it's just uncomfortable for me. I prefer 140. However, it's up to you. The most important thing, though, is I would say no more than 180, and definitely you should not be adding boiling water to the French press. No matter which way you drink yerba mate, it's not going to be the boiling water. The mate cocido, it should be hot, but that's a little bit different. So maybe I'm eating my own words there. when you're making it in the French press, you're not going to want it that hot. It has a lower point, boiling point, or whatever. What's the word that someone that's a better tea aficionado, but the different teas have different levels that you steep them at. Yerba mate is no different. So again, the amount of yerba that you want to use is you measure that out depending on the strength and how many servings you want. I'd say start with about 1 tablespoon of yerba per 8 ounces of water, then adjust from there depending on your preferences. Then you add the water 140, 160 degrees, however you like, and let it steep and soak for a minute or two, and then just press it in your French press and enjoy. Not to get too far into the weeds here, but this is where you'll have to do some research on yerba brands to use, as there's so many out there with a wide variety of flavors. Just a general, start with a flavored or milder blend if you find the taste too strong at first. Most people start with whatever they can find first, or something on the lighter side, or something their friend gave them. I've tried some lighter yerbas. I've done a lot of reviews on different yerbas. Porongo is one of the first ones that comes to mind, which you can easily get from Yerba Crew in Philadelphia. Check them out. They have their own yerba as well. And there's some other great local companies in the U.S. now producing their own yerba. Heretic Yerba, Hugo Yerba, Bohemia. Again, try different ones and see what you like. But drink it slow. It isn't, a chug. It isn't a shot. This is a ritual. So now, the ritual begins. The intermediate mate drinker. So once you got past, the first sip, you're hooked. And you start to get curious. So this is where the real fun begins. So now you're asking yourself, what's a bombilla? How do I pack a gourd? Why do people pass it around in a circle? Just like now you're getting into the more traditional. So investing in a traditional gourd and bombilla. Starter level kit in this would be a steel gourd and a bombilla. You can get that pretty easily from Amazon, or lots of the different yerba companies I've mentioned have kits of their own that sometimes even come with a package of yerba included for a good price. I would say steel going first because it's the easiest to maintain, clean, and all that, as well as price point. Again, I'm trying to walk you through the beginner levels before going up higher. And so it's kind of each little step going further down this yerba mate journey. If you're at this level of using a gourd and bombilla, I'd probably say watch some YouTube videos on how to prepare it for the basics. I'm sure I've got videos I've recorded on there, or reels and stuff. A lot of other people have done a lot better ones, and you can figure out how to just get the basics to prepare your gourd, and then just start experimenting. And if you're really stuck here, just send me a message on IG, and I'll walk you through it. So just message me at Yerba Mate Power on Instagram. I'll be happy to help. I'm sure anyone else would do the same. It's a very supportive community, I think, because we all want people to enjoy something we all enjoy. Otherwise, if you've listened this far, I'm assuming you're already drinking yerba mate the traditional way, and you're just looking to see what's next. I'd suggest trying different styles of yerba and adding in different herbs. So trying Argentinian, Uruguayan, Paraguayan, and Brazilian styles. In that order, I would say probably, or maybe switch Uruguayan with Paraguayan, because personally I think that Argentine's the easiest to drink with the sticks and stems. You don't have to, it's more forgiving in the preparation method. The Uruguayan and Brazilian styles have a little bit more intricacy to preparing them, and Paraguayan as well, as far as if you're going in the tereré path. So they all, so I would say that's where you branch off into tereré and chimarrão, which is what I would consider higher levels, as they take more preparation and intention into the ritual of drinking yerba mate. I'd also say the mountain, or the montanita, is kind of like latte art. The mountain serves a purpose for keeping part of the yerba dry so that you can enjoy the yerba longer. But just same as like milk in your latte, I mean, it serves a purpose, but making it look pretty is kind of the extra level. So that's the higher up levels, let's say. And I guess why this ties in here. So once you kind of get into this level, you get more into the culture and deeper into the understanding more about it. And so passing the mate is a symbol of trust and friendship. And the cebador, who is the person preparing the mate, is that person that's inviting you in, welcoming you. They drink the first round and bring you into the circle. So that's kind of what my way of looking myself as a host of this is. The cebador is to bring you into the circle and help you understand. And so one thing that's always kind of fun is that you learn these different intricacies. And then now at this expert level, let's say after that, the master of the mate, now you've crossed into expert territory. When you are having your own thermos, you're traveling, you can recognize the different brands by their taste. You argue over the stem content and cut size. You know how to maintain and cure your gourd properly. That's when you are on your own, when you fully kind of got your, let's say, black belt. Here, you can start experimenting more, like with the tereré, the cold brew preparation, also the, chamarrão. To me personally, is something I haven't even quite got down myself. I just don't drink it that way that often. So this is where you get deeper down. And at this stage, mate becomes more than a drink. It's a habit, a meditation, a connection to history, the water, the rhythm, the flavor. It all becomes part of your daily ritual. And so the goal here is to bring you alongside that and walk you down this path. And Yerba Mate can do more than just wake you up. It can connect you with people across the globe. It's allowed me to put a podcast. I have people that I get to make friends with and message that, all over the world. And it puts you into this kind of new, with the internet though, it's an online mate circle. And now kind of your job at this level is now to pass it on to other people. So hosting a mate session at your local park or cafe, maybe just sharing with your friends or talking about it, traveling with mate, wherever you go, from Buenos Aires to Berlin, people can recognize it, thanks to popularity growing. And don't forget that just because there's a lot of health perks, antioxidants, mental focus, gut health, but for many of us, the ritual is the real reward. And so, in summary, starting with a canned drink is probably the easiest way to get started. Check out a couple of different brands, but don't get something you don't think you would like. Or if you have a bad experience, I think this is the other thing. Just keep trying. Because maybe you don't like one brand or one can or whatever, but then you'll find something you do like. And everyone's different. Some people have a lot of reviews on different things that they love that even I don't like, or I've reviewed things that other people don't like. And then you can get the tea bags, mate cocido, or French press. Just pouring some yerba mate into a French press, heating up the water. North Star yerba mate, we're working on getting that out into the public more. Just an instant yerba you can drop in your water. And then I would say preparing your own gourd. You could start with some of the lighter yerbs and making a traditional gourd and bombilla combo there. And then branching off into the different flavors and styles of the different countries and preparation methods there. And then sharing it with someone else. So from your first hesitant sip to the moment you're offering mate to strangers in the park, you've come a long way. And there's more to explore. So thank you for joining me on the Yerba Power podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a fellow mate lover, or just let me know what you'd like to hear. And until next time, sip low, sip slow, stay grounded, and keep your heart and gourd full. And until next time, see you in 2 weeks. This is the Yerba Power Podcast.